Assalamu alaikum, my dear friends, brothers and sisters. Here I am with part 4 of the introduction of hand, lines, and fingers, and the things that lie on the lines, and the signs, and cuts and bruises, and islands, whatever is out there on the hand, it needs to be understood and interpreted. So I'll continue with fingers, hopefully. And let's see, today I'm at the liberty of making a little longer video because I have found out a way to compress it. So I'll see you with the examples. Thank you. And don't forget to give me your feedback, and don't forget to ask questions. You learn when you ask questions. Do watch the video. You don't have to memorize anything. You just see it over and over. We discuss things over and over that you can just become familiar with all those. So don't worry about anything. You only promise me that you will watch the videos and you will understand those. And when time comes, you will see how easy it becomes. Thank you. All right. And now I can see myself in the same video, and that's a good discovery. Anyway, I start off with my hand here. This hand is intuitive hand. Intuitive hands have pointed fingers. They are, oops, sorry, I keep doing that. Okay, they are wider on the bottom, if you look at them, and they are pointing on the top. See that? They are like carrot, they're wider. They look like a carrot. So these are pointed hands. So next type of hand is a square hand. This is perfectly square, too square actually. Look at this, it just goes and is perfectly square. The fingers are square. Look at them, very nicely done. Very minor curves on the top. So this hand is a square hand. Memorize it. So square hand will, just understand that this is a square hand. So pointed hand has a pointed fingers, and their bottoms are wider, just like a carrot. The square hands have everything about them. They look like they are square. It's like a rectangle or square. So you can tell the palm itself is very squarish, and so are the finger and the fingertips. They're all squarish kind of. And if they are longer or smaller within, that we interpret later on. We looked at this hand yesterday as well, all of these. Now, this is also a squarish hand, but it's tall. See, it's more longer than the breadth itself. But by looking at it, you can tell it's a square hand in general, and so are the fingers. If you look at the fingers itself, they actually give you that sense that they are more and more squarish. But the size, again, if it's more slightly wider or longer, or that actually then distinguishes it from being what they foretell you, what they are about. The next one are the flat hands. Flat hands, actually, I couldn't get a good picture of it. I tried internet. If you look at, just focus on this area. The fingernails are wider, like this. Okay, so particularly this one. If you look at this finger, the middle finger, and you will see that this is wider on the top and going like this, like a shovel, for example. And this too, look at this, and then it goes like this, and then comes. This is slightly more between the two, the square and this one. This is not as wide. So this is why I couldn't get a good example of it. But this actually gives you an idea what it is all about. Just focus on this finger. This is what it is. pay attention to it. This is also somewhat it, but this is more wide. So you are looking at a wider. So wide on the top and narrow on the bottom, or square, a cupping, on the bottom itself. I picked up another hand. This was a bit same. So if you see, look at this one, this small one, and then on the top. So it goes wider and narrower on the bottom. Did it again. Okay, so now, so this one narrow, wider, but this is like more like it's narrow from here, but actually wider, but it's like almost similar. The real one should be more wider like this. They should be pointing out that they could be, that's the worst part of it. This hand that I'm showing is a little bit more balanced hand as compared to really wide hand. So this is a more balanced hand, and the kind of more intensive in its nature, which really becomes more flat hand, is actually, you will see this one curve going a little bit wider, and then lying like this. And you will see them. Usually these kind of people, they are biting their nails, and you will see them do it. So, and they are more, their fingernails are not as healthy. You will see that. Okay, so the three parts of a finger. If you see, this is a very long, tall hand. We discussed this yesterday. Here, if you look, this part is longer than this part. And if you see, these two are nearly the same size. This is longer. So is on this finger. This is longer. This is kind of an average as compared to rest of the fingers, like this one. But on the top, if you see, it tends to be going carrot-like, pointing. So this is being the Saturn finger, this being the Jupiter finger. So you see, they're slightly pointing on this one also. Oops, I shouldn't have done that. Okay. Anyway, so I don't know what it does. It's usually supposed to lock the screen. Anyway, so if you look at this finger, this is longer than this one. So each finger on this one is, the bottom part of it is longer than the middle part, and then the top part is smaller. So it tells you a different story. So all of them could be of same size, equal size, right? They could be one size, equal size. So, or this could be very long, and this could be very short, and the third could be shorter. So you are actually looking at the size of each partition. So this partition of a finger is very important. This will give you a clue as to what it does, because every part has a story to tell. The lines on it, the size of it, the curve, like this one is slightly tilted. So this tilt will tell you a story later on. If you look at the thumb itself, the thumb is kind of a bending towards backward. It's like this one is like, this is merged this way, and this part is bent to backward. This is a flexibility. There's a flexibility on that. Okay, so this is the pointed or the intuitive hand. Usually, you will see the balance between the the fingers and the length of the hand itself, you know. So these are here, the fingers are smaller than the actual palm. The palm starts from here. So you can see it's way, the pointed fingers are way smaller than the palm. So this is not a good example um, uh, of showing the proportion of the fingers as compared to the hand. So just to make you understand that what a hand stands for, how to observe a hand. The observation of a hand is you're looking at the fingers, each part of the finger, the palm, the size, the relative. So it will, as we start to introduce what everything means, then these sizes and their bends and their trends will actually start to make sense. And we will talk about it later on. Usually, the pointed hands are artistic. Women, a lot of soft women have it. Their hands are usually balanced. They're slightly thinner, taller, and more artistic. And those are also visually very beautiful hands. This is not one of them, I assure you. But this is a good example of showing you why different hands look differently. So I hopefully tomorrow I'll have something to show you about it. Now, if you look at this hand, this part of the finger is so tall, and this is so midget. That's what I was talking about in the first hand, the size of each portion. And you will noticeably see that these are not as bad. These are not as bad as compared to this one. So the index finger, the middle part of the index finger is much shorter. And then it's much thinner on the top. So there are two very bright indications. On the other side, the sun line, not the sun line, but the sun finger, look at the top, it's like it's going, and there's a slight bend there, and it's like tends to be thinner, and then it widens up a little bit. But again, look at the size of it. It's taller than it should be. See, you can actually make it, that it looks slimmer and taller. But if you measure it like this, so this one probably, and this one is of same size, and this is again shorter. So this person, most probably is a woman. This person has these taller or longer parts. These are, the middle parts are shorter, and then the top four, the top fingertips are taller. But one of them has more of a length. So this one has a pretty length. This one has length. This one has length. So the middle ones are shorter. So just remember, on this person's pinky, looks pretty good. This looks pretty good. This looks taller, which is perfectly fine. This is a good finger, even though it's shorter. If you put it together, it will end up. So if you look at this one, so this will actually, if you close, so this is pretty. So this one, if you look at this will end up somewhere here, which is pretty small. Usually mercury fingers are usually up to this point, and that's the average height. And the taller will be, taller. But this is a shorter pinky. And one reason it is shorter is because look at the base itself. It's a pretty, when there's the rest of the base, and then this one is going this way. So had it been on the base, had base been like this would have ended up there. So what does this tell you? that finger, in fact, is not really short. The length of the finger is okay, because if it had started from here, it would have ended up on its normal average length. So this finger is okay, but its placement tells its own story when it's so low. Like we were talking about the thumbs. Thumbs, they can go this way and then go up, or they can be just like this. So they have different shapes. So same way, this finger tells the pinky, the small finger, the mercury finger. This is a mercury finger. It has its own story. So now we have discussed three hands, three different types, and how we look at them from the sizes of the parts and its placement and all that. Now, all these three could be mixed and matched. Maybe one finger is not intuitive, is not pointed, maybe square. So this finger could have been square in shape. Like this was trying to be a little bit of square. You can see on the top it goes pointing and then goes out to become a square. So that's the story. So hands could be, if you look at the fingernails will, like in the first hand, let me show you that. In this hand, you see, this one finger was more like squarish, slightly outward, but squarish. This one is slightly wider on the top and not as bad. But this one is more wider. This one is, and this one is. But this could have been very well squarish from the nail as well as on the tip. So all these could be very important. This could be very important information, because these three parts will always be different. Then the knots itself, you look at the knots. Let me touch that. So this hand could have knots here. So 3 knots only. There's no knot here, there's no knot here, there's no knot here. This is also just regular bump foundation, so there are no knots. Knotty hand is the one which gives you your thought process. It holds your thoughts and processes it. It's not free flow. Okay, this is the last hand that I will discuss right now. Briefly, I'll leave you with something. Now, this hand has pointed and tilted, crooked fingers. So these are tilted fingers. And these hands are, I just put down something for you, secretive hands. They're overly cautious. They're loner and scared. They're sad and close-minded. Why? We'll discuss that later on. But just through something, I know you, by this time, with the 4th lecture, you're trying to figure out what's going on. So I just wanted to give you something. So why these hands are so close to each other, why they are pointing on each other, well, there's a story to it. So you look at the fingertips, they look at the bend. See, I told you, this is straight, but this bends towards it. So all 3 fingers, this finger, and this finger is pointing at your Saturn finger. So look at these hands, look at this video over and over again. I have almost done 20 minutes. I think I'll keep it to 20 minutes. This way the lecture has something for you to take, and for me to actually cover a subject. It's still not covered. I mean, we are at the very beginning of the introduction of a hand. So I will go into a detail on the pointed hand, the square hand, and the wider hand. So then I'll read each one of them so that you can understand. Then it will be more predictive. So I will start to get into each hand and start to explain what it looks like, what it means. So that by just looking at hand, you don't have to. Again, the secret lies in the small lines. The personality lies because personality is obvious anyway, because you look at a person and you say, oh, he's a good man, he's a bad man. And so the hands are. But what he does with those hands is in the small lines. And we will proceed on that eventually. All right. Enough for today. I'll talk to you. Don't forget your feedback. Don't forget to ask questions. Inbox me. A couple of people have asked me questions, and I like it. And stay in touch and learn, and learn. Read, and read. Listen, and listen. And you don't have to do anything. Don't try to memorize. Just get familiar with these things, and you will be on the top. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.